I was standing at the top of the wooden steps leading down from my back porch. It was a Tuesday morning, early, just after the sun had come up. The air was still carrying that sharp Tennessee chill, and I was holding a heavy plastic bag of kitchen garbage in my right hand, getting ready to walk it down to the bins by the street. I shifted my weight to take that first step down, and it happened. It was not a trip. It was not a slip on the wood. It was a sudden, terrifying disconnect between my brain and my legs. My right foot hovered over the top step, and for a split second, I completely lost my center of gravity. The horizon tilted. My legs felt like they were made of wet sand. I had to drop the garbage bag and grab the wooden handrail with both hands, gripping it so hard my knuckles ached, just to stop myself from pitching forward down a flight of 6 solid wooden stairs. I stood there for a long time, breathing heavy in the cold air, looking down at the concrete driveway at the bottom of those steps. I spent over 3 decades working in a freight warehouse right here in Knoxville. 30 years of walking loading docks, carrying heavy boxes, climbing in and out of 18-wheelers, relying on my legs to do exactly what I told them to do. My balance was a tool, and I trusted it completely. But standing there on my own porch, my heart hammering against my ribs, I realized that the tool was rusting out from the inside. The confidence in my own foundation was slipping away. My daughter Megan is an occupational therapist. She spends her days working with older folks who are losing their mobility. I told her about the incident on the porch when she came over for Sunday dinner, trying to play it off as just a clumsy morning. She did not smile. She set her coffee mug down on the kitchen table and looked me right in the eye. She told me that falls are the leading cause of fatal injury in people over 65. She said that when your balance starts to feel unstable, the damage is not just beginning, it is already happening deep inside your body. She explained that this is a silent process. It is a slow, steady wave of chronic inflammation that quietly damages the small blood vessels in your legs, making walking harder and steadily raising the risk of a devastating fall. You do not feel any sharp pain, and you do not get a warning sign until the ground is suddenly coming up to meet you. I realized right then that I was doing this to myself. For my entire life, I thought a vegetable was a vegetable. If it grew in the dirt and was served on a plate, I assumed it was doing my body a favor. I assumed my diet was keeping me strong, but I was filling my tank with things that were either entirely useless or actively causing the inflammation that was ruining my balance. I had to change the oil in the machine. I had to change the raw materials I was using to rebuild my legs. I am going to tell you exactly what I did. I am going to tell you about 3 healthy vegetables I had to completely stop eating, and the 3 specific, powerful foods I replaced them with to get my legs back, clear out my circulation, and lock my balance down solid. Let us start with the biggest illusion I had on my dinner plate. For years, Linda and I would have a side salad with our dinner. It was always a big bowl of chopped iceberg lettuce. It looked green, it had a good crunch, and the television commercials always told us that a salad was the ultimate picture of health. But iceberg lettuce is essentially just crunchy water. It was doing absolutely nothing for the rust in my pipes. It was not fighting the inflammation that was slowly strangling the blood supply to my calves and feet. I was eating empty weight and calling it health. Megan brought over a medical article that completely changed my perspective. It explained that if I wanted to actually protect my body and build an inner armor, I needed to drop the empty lettuce and start eating broccoli. But not just as a casual side dish. I needed to see it as medicine. The article explained that broccoli is packed with a compound called sulforaphane, which acts like a heavy-duty guardian against that silent chronic inflammation. That inflammation is the exact force that wears down your blood vessels, your joints, and your muscle strength as you age. The sulforaphane in broccoli actually activates key pathways in your body that help clear out harmful substances and strengthen your internal defense systems. I remember a guy I worked with at the warehouse named Tom. In his late 60s, Tom's legs just started giving out on him. He told me his feet always felt cold and numb, like they were wrapped in heavy wool socks, even in the middle of July. His circulation was failing. That is exactly what that chronic inflammation does to the outer parts of your body. But the research Megan showed me proved that the sulforaphane in broccoli specifically supports circulation in those outer areas, keeping your legs and feet better supplied with blood and much more responsive. Better circulation directly translates to fewer balance issues and stronger, steadier steps. On top of that, broccoli is heavy with vitamin K and calcium, which are critical for protecting bone density. When you get past 65, your bones get fragile, and the smallest fracture can ruin your mobility for good. But here's the catch, and this was the second healthy habit I had to break immediately. I used to think the only way to eat green vegetables was to boil them in a pot of water until they surrendered. I would boil my vegetables until they were a soft, gray mush. Megan saw me doing this one afternoon and practically took the pot off the stove herself. She explained that boiling broccoli until it is overly soft strips away almost all the sulforaphane and the nutrients that make it so valuable. You are literally pouring the medicine down the sink drain with the cooking water. She showed me how to lightly steam it for just a few minutes, keeping it bright green and slightly firm. This preserves the compounds and makes it much easier for an older stomach to digest. I started eating a small bowl of steamed broccoli every single day. I threw out the iceberg lettuce. I started treating that green plant like a blueprint for preserving my strength. The second thing I had to stop doing was relying on white potatoes to anchor my meals. I was a meat and potatoes man my whole life. A baked white potato, a mountain of mashed potatoes with butter, it did not matter. It was cheap, it was heavy, and it made me feel full after a long day of work. But heavy white starches act like a roadblock in your system. They spike your blood sugar, trigger an insulin response, and create a wave of inflammation that settles right into your joints and your blood vessels. I would eat a heavy potato with dinner, and by 8 o'clock at night, my legs would feel like lead weights. My circulation was getting bogged down. I needed something that would actively open up the pipes, not clog them. That is when I learned the truth about spinach. I always thought spinach was just another flimsy leaf for a salad, but it is actually one of the most powerful restorative plants you can put in an aging body. Spinach is loaded with natural nitrates, which are compounds that physically widen your blood vessels and improve blood flow, especially to your muscles and your brain. When you get older, your circulation naturally declines, which cuts off the oxygen and the nutrients that your leg muscles need to fire quickly. That lack of oxygen is exactly what causes that feeling of heavy weakness, those slower reflexes when you stumble, and that mental haze that feels like a thick fog rolling into your brain. Spinach counters that decline directly by supporting vessel flexibility. When your blood vessels can flex and open up, the muscles in your legs and feet stay resilient, giving you your mobility and your freedom back. Linda and I stopped eating the heavy white potatoes and started buying bags of fresh spinach. We learned not to overcook it, but to lightly sauté it in a pan with just a little bit of olive oil, or to blend a handful of it right into a morning drink. It preserves the nutrients and makes it incredibly easy on our digestion. But the spinach did something else I was not expecting at all. I noticed after a few weeks that I was not losing my train of thought as much during conversations. I felt sharper. I looked into it and found out that spinach is full of lutein and folate, which actively protect memory, processing speed, and mental clarity. Older adults who take in more lutein show much sharper cognitive performance than those who do not. And those same compounds protect the macula of your eye, lowering the risk of vision loss as we get older. Think about that for a second. If you cannot clearly see the edge of the living room rug or the curb in the grocery store parking lot, you are going to fall. Protecting your sight is exactly the same thing as protecting your legs. It is all connected. A handful of spinach every day became my defense against the slow pull of time. The third healthy trap I fell into for years was the trap of convenience. When I got tired of cooking, or when I just wanted a quick side dish, I would open a tin can of mixed vegetables, the kind that have been sitting in salty water on a supermarket shelf for 2 years. They are technically vegetables, but they are dead food. All the life, all the snap, all the internal structure of the plant has been processed and soaked right out of them. They do not challenge your digestion, and they certainly do not feed your nervous system. I had to stop looking for the easy way out and start looking for actual living nourishment. I replaced those dead canned vegetables with raw, fresh carrots. Just a simple, hard, bright orange root. For a long time, I thought carrots were just a crunchy snack, but for someone in their 70s, a carrot is a vital piece of maintenance equipment. They are a massive natural source of beta-carotene, which your body turns into vitamin A to keep your vision sharp. But what really caught my attention, what really made me pay attention to the carrot, was what it does for the communication lines in your body. Your balance does not just rely on the physical muscle in your calf or your thigh. It relies on a lightning-fast electrical signal traveling from your brain, down your spine, and into the delicate nerves of your feet. The antioxidants in carrots actively protect those nerve cells and blood vessels, ensuring that the message gets from your brain to your feet without getting scrambled or delayed. They support that reliable communication so that when you step down off a porch, your foot knows exactly where it is in space. Strong, steady steps depend on a sensory system that actually works. I have a good friend named Arthur who runs a hardware store downtown. Arthur started tripping over his own boots behind the counter a few years ago. He told me his feet felt disconnected from his body, like he was walking on thick foam pads. His blood sugar was always fluctuating, which severely damages those delicate nerves in the extremities. I told him to start eating a raw carrot every single afternoon instead of the processed crackers he was snacking on. The natural fiber in carrots steadies your blood sugar, lowers cholesterol, and promotes healthy digestion. When your blood sugar is balanced, you protect your nerve function, which keeps the blood flowing to your hands and feet, preserving your ability to walk and fully engage in your daily life. Arthur started shredding raw carrots into his lunch salad every day. He told me a few months later that the numb, tingling feeling in his toes was fading. He felt the solid ground under his boots again. You have to eat them raw or lightly steamed to get the real benefit. We spend our whole lives building a life for ourselves and our families. We put in the hours, we carry the weight, and we pay our dues. It makes absolutely no sense to let our physical foundation crumble just when we finally have the time to enjoy what we built. I thought a lot about what a fall really means while I was changing my habits. A fall is not just a bruised knee or a scraped hand. For men like me, a fall is the end of the road. It means the walker. It means the wheelchair. It means looking at a flight of stairs and realizing you can never go up them again. It means losing the ability to drive, to move safely through your own house. When your legs suffer, your freedom shrinks. It has been over 2 years since that morning I almost went down my back steps. I do not eat the empty iceberg lettuce anymore. I do not eat the heavy white potatoes that spike my blood sugar and leave my legs feeling like lead. And I absolutely do not boil my green vegetables into a gray mush or eat out of a tin can. I eat steamed broccoli. I eat lightly sautéed spinach. I eat raw carrots. I eat them not because I am on some trendy diet, but because they are the raw materials my body desperately needs to hold its ground against time, and the difference is profound. I walked out to the edge of the driveway yesterday morning to pick up the newspaper. The ground was wet from a light rain, and the slope of the concrete was slippery, but I did not hesitate. My legs felt heavy in a good way, solid and grounded. I could feel the texture of the pavement through my shoes. My head was clear, my vision was sharp, and my balance was exactly where I left it years ago. I stood there looking down the street, feeling a deep sense of relief. You cannot buy a pill that replaces wise daily nourishment. You cannot hire someone to walk for you. True strength is not built in dramatic moments. It is built in the small daily choices we make. Every single meal you sit down to is a decision about your future. Every bite you take is a vote for strength or a vote for struggle. So the next time you are at the grocery store, walk right past the empty lettuce and the canned aisle. Grab the dark green broccoli. Grab the fresh spinach, grab the hard carrots. Treat your body with the respect it has earned. Treat it like a machine that still has thousands of miles left to go. I am going to keep eating my broccoli, and I am going to keep walking down my own steps without holding the handrail. I will be right here.